1990's car audio was filled with hundreds of brands and literally thousands of different models of amplifiers. Well, today we're going to look at one of the unique ones of the bunch. You guys may have seen before, I've shown the Audio Art 100HC. Today I'm showing the smaller brother, the 50HC. If you want to look in the video description below, I'll leave a link to the video that I made on the 100HC showing the dyno test. Also did an unboxing and some other things as well. Back to the 50HC, back in the 90s, amplifiers known as cheater amplifiers would be rated low for 4 ohms but would handle down to 1 ohm or lower. Examples of those are shown here, like from Orion, the HCCA models, Phoenix Gold, the Mobile Professional Series. Also, Soundstream has some Class A models that were handle low ohms as well. There were so many models back in the day, in order to stand out a little bit, Audio Art decided to go with a white powder coat finish. Also had this polished strip here across the top of the amplifier, which gave the model and the name of the amplifier. One thing they did not do well with these amps in particular, if they were cheater amps, is they didn't give all the ratings. In fact, all they showed was a 4 ohm rating of 25 watts by 2 and an 8 ohm bridge rating of 50 watts, but they said they are stable to half an ohm stereo or 1 ohm mono, but they did not tell us how much power it did. In fact, there's really no indication of it being high current except for the logo here on the side with the silk screening. Speaking of the side here, look on this one side, we'll see the mono and stereo selector, which allow you to use one input if you like. Also the standard style RCA inputs. These are not Tiffany style, of course. And just above those is the gain adjustments, and this have individual left and right gain adjustments. As we flip the amplifier around, there's quite a bit more going on this other side, including the speaker outputs are on the outside. Those are screw down terminals, which will accept bare wire or spade connectors. Also, we have a 30 amp ATC style fuse. In the center, we have the ground, remote, and 12 volt connections here. Again, these are screw down terminals. Best to use a spade style connectors so you can use larger wire. Then we have LED indicators for power and protect. You may notice there are no crossovers built into this amp. That's right, this is a straight power amplifier. Did not color the sound at all. All your processing needed to be done externally. This amp is tri-mode capable. In other words, it can run stereo and mono at the same time if you would like. Now, as far as dimensions go, it's kind of small for a Class AB amp. 7 1/4 inches wide, 10 5/8 inch long, and 2.5 inches high. The HC or high current models from Audio Art hit the market in 1996. Let's take a look at this car audio and electronics directory, and we can see here it lists for $600 in 1996. Inflation adjusted for 2025 is $1,230. These were not cheap. Now let's get the amplifier dyno all fired up. And first what we're going to do is set the gains on the amplifier to match the head unit. You can see 10 dB of overlap using the amp dyno. If you haven't seen these tests before, on the left we'll see the power output in watts. In the middle, the ohm load. On the right, the voltage of the dyno. We'll also have the remote clamp so that we can estimate the amplifier's efficiency. This is a Class AB 2-channel amp, so we don't expect it to be very high. 2-channel test up first. We have both channels wired into the dyno. We have the red power LED on there. 4 ohm stereo. It's rated 25 watts by 2. They don't specify a particular voltage, say that it's capable of 11 and 16. We're going to try it right in the middle, about 13.5. We got about 53 watts per channel average at 13.59. Of course, then we're going to lower it to 12.5 volts so that we get here with less voltage. And it does appear that this is an unregulated power supply because we get about 43 watts per channel at 12.4. Then we bump it up to 14.4, see how much more power we get with more voltage. And there you see, right at 60 watts per channel at 14.24. Let's reset the dyno here for the dynamic track, send the 1 kilohertz pulse tone into the amp. And not a whole lot of dynamic headroom here at 4 ohms. We're right around 56 watts per channel at 13.7 volts. Next up, we'll try 2 ohm stereo, and for some reason they don't provide any rating. So we're going to find out what it really does. Certified to 1% distortion at 2 ohms, 1 kilohertz. There you can see about 89 watts per channel, 13.46. Of course, we'll drop the voltage here to 12.5. See how that impacts the output power, and it does impact it a little bit. We get 74 and 69 at 12.3. Then, of course, we'll boost the voltage up to 14.3 or so. Try the test again at 1 kilohertz up to 1% distortion. There you go. we're knocking at 100 watts per channel at 14 volts. Not too bad for a 50 watt amp. Dynamic, again, sends the pulse track into the amp. And here it is, we're right around 100 watts again. Yep, right at 100 watts per channel at 13.57 volts. Now this amp is low ohm capable, so let's try 1 ohm. Again, no results, or no ratings, I should say. We're going to give you the results. Certified test here to 1% distortion, about 130 watts per channel at 13.2. Pretty impressive. Lowering the voltage again to 12.5. Let's see what we get right at 12 volts. We still get about 107 watts per channel, so not bad. But what about if we boost it up, 14.2? Let's try that test again. See what we get. There you go, about 145 watts average per channel at 13.89. Of course, then we'll run the dynamic track, which sends the 1 kilohertz pulse tone. See about the dynamic headroom. Not a whole lot going on here, but it does give us a little bit more visual power, about 169 watts per channel. Jumped up 170 per channel at 13.4. Now we'll bridge the amp for the bridge mono test on the dyno. You can see we're using the outer terminals. We're using the positive from the right side, the negative from the left. That's kind of backwards from most amps, usually left positive, right negative. Anyway, let's try 4 ohms, mono. There are no ratings provided, but we're going to show you what we get. Certified to 1% distortion. And here we go. And we get 189 at 13.53. Pretty good for a 50 watt amp. Now let's lower that voltage to around 12.5 and try it again. 1 kilohertz test track here, and we get 155 at 12.35. Now what about boosting that voltage up to over 14 volts? Let's try it with that. Again, certified to 1% distortion, 1 kilohertz track, and we get over 200 watts, 209 at 14.18. Pretty impressive. All right, let's reset the dyno here and try the dynamic track, sending that pulse tone. See what we have dynamically. As you can see here, a little over 200 watts, 205 at 13.65. It jumped up to 207. Now 2 ohms mono, for those who don't know, is the same as 1 ohm stereo load on the amp. Let's find out what we get here. 2 ohms bridge mono, certified to 1% distortion, 286 at 13.34. But yeah, let's try to drop the voltage a little bit and see what we get here at around 12.5 volts. Certified 2 ohms bridge mono, 233 at 12.2. Of course, we'll also bump the voltage up to over 14. That's what we're going to do next. And let's try it again, certified at 2 ohms bridge mono, 1 kilohertz track. What can we get? And no, over 300, 318, right at 14 volts. Pretty nice. Now let's reset the dyno here and try the dynamic track, send the pulse tone into the amp, checking out the dynamics. This amp doesn't have a whole lot of dynamics. It's got a little bit extra power, but not a whole lot. We see 337, jumped up 340, 13.55, 2 ohms bridge mono. Now we're going to try 1 ohm bridge mono. That's half an ohm per channel stereo, which is crazy. Let's try certified to 1% distortion. We do have the higher voltage here because this is a tough test on the amp. You can see 406 watts, certified to 1%. That is pretty crazy for such a small little cheater amp from back in the day. That's about the same or a little bit more powerful than the Orion 225 HCCA. Dynamically, here you see well over 500, 530, 537 at 14 volts. Pretty impressive. Now here are all the results of all the different tests I did. And you can pause this if you like to see them all. And also the efficiencies are there on the right, which again, from the high 40s to the low 60s. And also in mono, we did test the 8 ohm as well and got double what the rated power was. And it tested all the other ohm loads. And again, this is powerful or more powerful than Orion 225 HCCA. So very impressive. Now let's take the 6 screws out of the bottom of the amp here so we can take a closer look at the guts. I just love the internals of these Audio Art HC amplifiers. These were designed by David Ye and acoustic by George Chan. Again, the same ones that did the 100 HC and that's one of my favorite amps of all time. Here you can see 2200 microfarad, 25 volts here for the power supply. For the rails, we have 1000 microfarad, 50 volts. Also, AudioArt followed suit with SoundStream and squished the transistors between the circuit board and the heatsink. Now let's move on to the sound quality test, see how it sounds. We have the little AudioArt 50HC hooked up to the 412s. See what it sounds like. Just showing that I am only using the AudioArt amp. All right, guys, I've got to say I was very impressed, not only with the sound quality, but the bass output and control of this AudioArt 50HC, whether it's powering mids and highs or 412s, and absolutely rattling my garage apart here. The garage door was going nuts. Anyway, lots of fun as always. There we have the test and review of the AudioArt 50HC high current amplifier, aka cheater amp from back in the day. Let me know below what your favorite cheater amp was from back then. Was it Orion? Was it Rockford? Was it this amp? I appreciate that. Also, look in the video description. We have new t-shirt designs straight from Old Cars, Wilson Audio Labs, Funky Pups, all kind of cool stuff and more coming always. Thank you for watching. Make sure you smash me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And check out my other videos. Lots and lots of videos out there. Till next time, this is Big D. You know where I'm at. I'm out of here.